While searching the web for new theater connections, I came across a TikTok account that immediately caught my eye. Once I saw his incredible backstage content, I knew this was a guy I needed to talk to. Enter Jason.
My name is Jason Juenker. I'm the Senior Director of Production Management for a company called Networks Presentations. A lot of people haven't heard of Networks itself, but you've probably heard of a lot of the shows that we actually produce. There's some of them behind me on the screen. We produce upwards of 12 to 14 different national tours a season. We're the largest touring company out there. Some of our biggest ones include Phantom of the Opera and Les Mis, Miss Saigon, but we have a huge amount. I've been with Networks for, it's been about 25 years, I guess, doing this. We've produced well over 100, 150 different tours and been involved, from the start of the tour all the way straight through. My job is head of the department. I've got a couple of production managers under me. We call it from the page to the stage. We start with, blank piece of paper and a creative team. And we kind of walk through what it's going to look like on tour. We go through the build of the tour, the rehearsal, obviously the technical process, and then the production management team runs it while it's on the road. We have upwards about 600 employees on the road. About 200 of those are crew people that we manage. Our shows are anywhere from 3 trucks, which is our smallest, going up to about 20 trucks, which was the Phantom of the Opera tour. On an average, a load in for a show is 8 hours. Some of our larger shows take 18. Phantom actually took about 30.
30 hours? I wonder how much of that time was spent carrying around the Phantom's ego. After his amazing overview, I asked what his favorite part of the job is.
It's being able to kind of look back on the 6, 8, 10 months that it took us to get to where we are in opening night and just watch all of those pieces come together into form one. It's the success of the crew members on the road being able to move the show, the success of the cast members who have been rehearsing their hearts out for weeks to get up to that opening night. But really my favorite part is definitely opening night where it all comes together. That for me is always just the highlight. So we have the Waitress tour out now and not out now, obviously we're all closed, but the Waitress tour will be back this fall, look for it. But I was talking to the lead and, she was like, I just can't imagine coming back into the theater and singing opening night on that first night, like the opening song of that show. And, the first time the theaters are reopening, like she's just going to lose it. And I think, I'd probably lose it as well. Like it's just going to be a moment in time, I think.
Here I asked what aspects of his technical work he feels goes unnoticed.
It's a great question. It's interesting. I think a lot of people don't understand the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes, right? You come to the theater for a 7:30 show on a Tuesday night and you watch the show, but you're not realizing that there is a team of people. There's the 12 to 15 people that actually travel with the show and the crew, as well as, the 60 to 70 to 80 local crew members that are helping put that show up starting at 8 a.m. that morning. So, less than 12 hours from when those doors open to an empty stage, there's a show. And I think a lot of people just don't understand that that's a heck of a lot of work. And then, we do one-nighters as well. We're only in a city for a night. So, they'll load in all day, have the show that night, and then immediately load it back out. So, starting at 8 a.m. and finishing at 2 a.m. Is a heck of a day. But I think a lot of the people who see the show just see the show from the front and that's it. And there's just so much that goes on backstage, like the choreography that goes on backstage, the communication. There's just so much happening behind the scenes that you just really should appreciate it at some point.
I really love the word choreography because with my performance brain, when you said the choreography backstage, I was like, oh, wow, like the choreographers. But then of course, like there must be this floor plan and blueprints that I have no idea about.
Yeah, absolutely. There is, right? Like it's, well, the cast is coming off in wing 1, so we can't be there setting the prop until they clear, it's a lot of that stuff, or where quick change happens as, automation pieces are moving backstage. So it is a lot of choreography backstage, that you just don't realize or appreciate because it looks like nothing's happening, from the front.
And that's the goal, right?
Here I got a bit tricky and asked which show was his favorite. After listing some career highlights, he settled on one.
Like if there was one in my whole career, it would probably be Phantom. Phantom was by far the most challenging show I've ever done, by far. It tested everything that I knew how to do as a production manager, not only for the build of it and the tech of it, but also just for the actual running of it over the 7 or 8 years that we had it on the road.
Coming close to the end of our time together, I asked if Andrew Lloyd Webber had ever come to see any of their productions.
In Chicago, he came out to Chicago early on in the tour. It was our 3rd stop, I think. He came out. He was in Des Moines as well. And then he came to Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center. Super nice guy, stood in the back, had his notes with the cast afterwards. He's really big on the music, obviously. I mean, that makes sense, right? So he would, during the show, he would stand by the soundboard operator and then make adjustments, which, I was nervous just having him in the room, but the sound guy was definitely far more nervous than me, as, the composer's hand is reaching across the board to adjust it as he's going.
Oh my gosh. So, he would say bring it down? He
would literally reach over and bring it down. Yeah. He was very particular on the mix. Yeah. That was big for him. But he was great. I remember in DC, we were at intermission, we had a VIP room set up with, wine and cheese and all that good stuff, which he didn't eat any of. And there was a piano, and he just kind of sat down at the piano and started playing. It's like, what is my life, right? Like, it's such a weird thing. And even, having worked with camera and having, we work with major people over the years, and it's still, to this day, kind of awe-inspiring to meet those people. You never think about it when you're a kid that this is where you're going to end up.
Wow.
But you never know where life's going to take you, I guess.
Of course. I'm starstruck. Are there any other big names you feel like dropping? Those two alone are great.
I hate being the name dropper.
That's fine.
But I can. Let's go. No.
Yeah.
Anne Rankin was a good one.
My gosh.
She was a big one. I tell this story of Anne Rankin. She died obviously recently, but we did the tour of Fosse with her, and we had a production meeting early on, and she was not real happy, and she just absolutely ripped me apart in the production meeting. Just screamed, yelled, this was wrong. And most of it wasn't my problem. It was the performers, not technical, but as the production manager, I took it all. And I left the room. I left the room. We took a break after the production meeting, and we left the room. And I was like, okay, it's going to be okay. I'm going to breathe. It's going to be fine. And the producer came over to me, and he's like, man, look, it's going to be fine, but, think about it. She knows your name. Anne Rankin knows who you are. She played Grace in the movie. She knows who you are. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So we go back in the room, we sit down. She goes, all right, Peter, let's get started. And I was like, oh, maybe when she badmouths me, it won't be my name now. So, but yeah, we've worked with some pretty amazing people. I mean, we work like Bart Scher, we do all of his shows. We're doing To Kill a Mockingbird next with him, but we've done a ton with him. And, there's just some really amazing people. And you put them on such a pedestal, I always talk about Cameron Mackintosh because he's the one, I saw Les Mis as a kid, and that was what got me into, theater. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Starlight Express is the one that actually got me into technical theater. But Les Mis was the one. Les Mis was the one that, kind of I saw, and I thought, wow, the technical elements can really tell a story. Like the barricade coming out on an empty stage brought people to tears. You heard an audible gasp in the audience. And I thought, wow, a scenic element can really kind of be that much part of the story. And then, flash forward 10 years and, I'm the production manager for the tour of Les Mis, and, we're sitting in Cameron's office and we're good friends. And it's just, you just kind of never know where it's going to take you. But it's still kind of there's days where I still feel like that kid sitting in the office, meeting him for the first time.
As you can tell, I was completely starstruck. Of course, I had to finish off the interview by asking the big "Are you my avenue?" to ALW.
It's a tricky one. He's very aloof.
I noticed.
He's tricky. He kind of comes in and leaves very quickly. We're definitely partners with his organization. But yeah, we've certainly met a couple of times. I don't think he could pick me out of a lineup if he tried. So I don't think I'm your avenue, but I can tell you that he's pretty great. And when you do meet him, it'll be a great moment for you and everybody.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't think he was my connection, I couldn't have been happier with our chat. I can't wait for Jason to be able to get back to doing what he loves.
Are you my avenue to ALW? If you are, hit those comments. Thanks for joining, like, and subscribe. Catch you next time.